Hey guys, this is Alachi, and this is my review for The Hunger Game, The Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes. This is the prequel film to the Hunger Games series, which explores the origin story of President Snow. So we get a young Cornelius Snow in his introduction into the Hunger Games and becoming a mentor to a young Lucy Gray Baird, who is from District 12. And this is advertised as a way to explore the origin story of a villain, which has amazing potential. But unfortunately, with Suzanne Collins, who wrote The Hunger Games, she just does not know how to write character stories that are very interesting. She was great in forming the games. She was great in creating intense action sequences and situations that were very dire and colorful. And a lot of the monsters she created were super terrifying in her books, which I think translated very well to film as well. But then when it actually came to dissecting a character, it's like there's nothing there. Like when you actually finally get into Katniss's head, not a lot there. And now when you finally get into Cornelius's head, not a lot there. This just feels like a 2-hour and 38-minute slug for a movie that's just basically existing to advertise the fact that there's still an IP out there called The Hunger Games, and maybe even just to advertise the original trilogy, because it is a complete and utter waste of time. The appeal of the trailers was kind of the romantic angle, this idea of someone from the Capitol looking at someone from District 12, Rachel Zegler's Lucy Gray Baird, and them having some kind of connection, and that could really sell the film. But if you're thinking that you're going to go in and see a romance, you will be sorely disappointed. There is zero chemistry between the two. The relationships are as poorly written as they were in the Hunger Game trilogies. So the relationship between Cornelius and Lucy is minuscule and terrible, not to mention the fact that Tom Blythe and Rachel Zegler have no chemistry together. I did see an article, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I saw an article pop up that basically said they had tested screen chemistry tests via Zoom. And I was like, well, that checks out because in actuality, there ain't nothing there. Tom Blythe's Cornelius Snow has more chemistry with his cousin Tigress, played by Hunter Schafer, than he does with Rachel Zegler's Lucy Gray Baird. Oh, it was just hard to watch. The character of Lucy Gray Baird is not that interesting either. She is not very charming. She is not very noble. The whole point of us really loving Katniss is that she made this ultimate sacrifice. Whereas Lucy, she's very much a performer, and she's very snarky, and she's not incredibly compassionate because she's also, just like Cornelius, a little bit opportunistic, a little bit self-serving. And so the characters themselves, you don't really root for anyone in this. And then the Hunger Games themselves, you think, okay, well, I don't really care about all that. I don't care about the origin story. I don't care about the characters of Lucy or Cornelius. I'm just here to watch the games, right? This is an Olympic event. We want to see the battle royale. We want children pitted against children to fight to the death. Well, sorry to disappoint you, but this is the 10th Hunger Games, where basically kids are thrown into one arena and given things like pitchforks and machetes. And it's not interesting at all. In fact, most of the deaths happen to be happenstance. When you're following the Hunger Games, you really want to be rooting for these children, because otherwise it's incredibly difficult to watch as children get slaughtered, right? And there is a spectacle to the Hunger Games where there seems to be a reason for why you're watching this. Whereas this just felt like really uncomfortable to see innocent children die, and there was no meaning to it, and there was no value in the lessons learned from the deaths of these children, other than the exploration again of Cornelius Snow's origin story. And unfortunately, that fails so terribly. Not Tom Blythe's fault. I think his performance as Cornelius Snow is very captivating up until the last quarter of the film, where he turns into Eminem, and then it just goes off the rails again. Like I said, his motivations seem so uninteresting. You think that, oh, there's a romance being built up. Maybe it's love spurned, or maybe there's a situation where there's a betrayal, or maybe there's a goal in mind in which he has to become who he is in order to satisfy a certain means to an end. No, he's just an opportunistic fuckhead. That's it. He's just an opportunistic person who takes every situation and makes the best opportunity for himself out of it. And that is it. So yes, complete waste of time. Peter Dinklage is in this film, does nothing. Viola Davis is playing this over-the-top game maker who's just not very interesting, who's very, I'm going to do something bad, just because I want to do something bad and I'm evil. And even the host of the game feels like a cheap imitation of the original, where you have Jason Schwartzman playing the host of the game, Lucky Flickerman, who I believe might be the father of Caesar Flickerman, who Stanley Tucci played in the original trilogy. Just not as good, not as entertaining as Stanley Tucci. I would rather watch the original. And so I feel like a lot of this is and feels like a blah version of the original trilogy, as opposed to its own unique spin, which it could have had very interesting things to say. It really could have focused on the Cornelius Snow story and gave it a really interesting spin and gave him a very compelling reason as to why he became the villainous President Snow, as opposed to, hey, opportunistic people are just opportunistic people. What can I say, right? And you're just like, that's it? That's the story? Whereas you have the districts, you have the capital, you have a war that you could have explored, right? There's a lot of things that could have been delved into that would have made this a whole lot more interesting, as opposed to just, well, let's have the checkbox of all the things we need to include to remind people of why we like the Hunger Games, but then not deliver on the entertainment value that the original Hunger Games gave us. But yeah, I do think that we are experiencing a situation again, just much like with J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter with Suzanne Collins. We really need to see a separation from the original authors in order for these franchises to have room to breathe and grow and expand a little bit more in interesting directions. So yeah, I definitely would give Hunger Games a miss. Save your money, or the Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes, and just wait for it to come out on streaming if you're that interested in checking it out, although I don't think you're going to find yourself very much entertained. I'm going to have to give The Hunger Games, the Ballad, oh God, I'm just like so bored just even saying it, the Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes, a D. Just dull. Dull. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And if you'd like to watch more, you can click right here or right here to watch more now. Until next time, see you on the flip side. Pooh.